Welcome to our channel Crime Loom, the place where true crime stories come alive.
He was a man everyone admired. On the surface, life seemed perfect. A good job, a loving family, friends who trusted him completely. But behind his calm, smiling exterior, a storm was brewing. It started small, a little lie that he thought nobody would notice. He told himself it was harmless, just a way to avoid conflict or embarrassment. But lies, no matter how small, grow. They twist and stretch until they are unrecognizable. At first, he lied about trivial things being late, missing appointments, forgetting commitments. People forgave him, thinking it was normal. He felt relief each time he escaped detection. But every lie planted a seed, and soon those seeds began to grow into a dense, tangled web. He didn't see it at first. He only saw relief, temporary safety. As weeks passed, the lies became bigger. He lied about money, hiding debts, and secret purchases. He lied about friends, keeping secret connections that should never exist. He lied about his work, covering mistakes with excuses and false explanations. Each lie required another lie to cover it. He felt trapped, but he couldn't stop. Stopping now would reveal everything. His family noticed small changes. A strange look, an awkward pause, a story that didn't match what they already knew. But he smiled, reassured them, made excuses, and they believed him. They wanted to believe him. Friends began noticing too. Invitations were missed, calls went unanswered, and explanations seemed forced. Yet he kept pretending. The first serious confrontation came when a close friend asked a question he could not answer truthfully. He froze, his mind raced. A lie sprang out of his mouth, one that seemed harmless at the time, but it only drew him deeper into the web. That single conversation became a turning point. He realized now that he was not just lying, he was trapped. Every word he spoke from that moment on was calculated, weighed, and carefully spun to avoid suspicion. At work, things began to unravel slowly. Small mistakes piled up, projects went missing. Emails were sent to the wrong people, his colleagues started whispering. They noticed the cracks in his perfect persona. He tried to control everything, but the lies had their own life. They had become a force he could no longer manage. He started living in constant fear. Every message, every phone call, every knock at the door sent a jolt of panic through his body. Sleep became impossible. He would lie awake, thinking about which lie to tell next. Anxiety consumed him. He saw shadows everywhere, heard hidden accusations in ordinary conversations, felt eyes on him even when no one was there. The lies were not just social or financial. They were personal, moral, and devastating. He hid choices and actions that could ruin him if anyone discovered them. Each day, he acted with precision. A smile here, a reassuring gesture there, all to maintain the illusion of normalcy. Yet the truth was always present, lurking, waiting for a moment to strike. Inevitably, the moment came. A tiny mistake, one he thought no one would notice, set off a chain reaction. A hidden message was discovered, a paper left on a desk. A forgotten account revealed. Slowly, the people around him began to see the truth. Friends confronted him. Family questioned him. Colleagues watched him closely. The web began to unravel. Panic took over completely. His hands shook, his voice trembled, and for the first time he realized he could not escape. Lies that once seemed protective now became chains around his neck. He tried to explain, to deny, to spin new stories, but the damage was done. Trust had been broken. Relationships were strained beyond repair. His reputation crumbled. He remembered the first lie he had ever told, the one that seemed harmless. How naive he had been to think it wouldn't matter. If only he had stopped there. But he hadn't. One lie had led to another, and another, until there was no way back. Now, the web he had built with his own words and actions had become his prison. The emotional toll was immense. Every interaction brought fear, regret, and guilt. He saw the faces of people he had hurt. Every smile they had given him in trust now felt like a knife in his chest. The people who had loved him without question were now uncertain, suspicious, and wary. He was alone, not because others abandoned him, but because the lies had alienated him. He attempted to escape through excuses. He tried distraction. He threw himself into work, into activities, anything to avoid facing the consequences. But the truth has a way of finding its way to the surface. It cannot be hidden forever. And in his heart, he knew that running would not save him. The web would follow. Even the smallest details began to betray him. Messages sent in anger, confessions whispered to the wrong person, a photograph in the wrong place. Each tiny slip widened the cracks. People began connecting the dots, seeing the patterns he thought were invisible. The world he had built on lies started to collapse piece by piece. The psychological pressure mounted. Paranoia became constant. He feared casual conversations, worried that every question contained hidden scrutiny. Every action, every word became a potential trap. His mind replayed scenarios endlessly, wondering if someone knew, if someone had discovered the truth. He began to distrust even himself. Then came the public exposure, a confrontation that could not be avoided. Friends, family, and colleagues confronted him together. The lies, the cover-ups, the hidden truths all were laid bare. There was no defense, no way to explain without admitting everything. The web collapsed completely, leaving him exposed. He felt shame like he had never felt before. He realized that lying had cost him everything. Every relationship he had valued, every connection he had cherished, every ounce of trust he had earned gone. He understood with painful clarity that lies might protect for a short while, but they always demand a price. The aftermath was harsh. Apologies were met with skepticism. Trust could not be rebuilt easily, if at all. People moved on. Some avoided him. Some confronted him constantly. And through it all, he was left with the weight of his actions, a heavy burden that would never fully leave. In solitude, he reflected on how it all began. The first small lie, the ease with which he had deceived, the comfort in hiding the truth. Every choice, every deception, every cover-up now seemed obvious in hindsight. He saw how each decision had led him deeper into a web of his own making. The story serves as a warning. Lies may feel harmless in the moment, but they have a life of their own. They grow, they trap, and eventually they destroy. No one escapes unscathed. Every lie told, every truth avoided, carries consequences that may be more devastating than one could ever imagine. And so, he learned a final lesson too late. The only way to survive a web of lies is to never spin it in the first place. Honesty may be fragile, but it is the only shield against the storm. Lies, no matter how small, are deadly. They trap, they suffocate, and eventually they consume. In the end, he was left alone with his thoughts, his regrets, and the harsh reality of his actions. The web that had once seemed invisible now hung heavy around him. It was a prison made of words, deceit, and broken trust. And no matter how he tried, there was no way to escape without facing the truth. Every lie had a price, and he had paid it in full. The man who once lived confidently, charmingly, and deceptively was now a shadow of himself. Trapped, not by anyone else, but by the very web he had woven with his own hands. The silence that followed was deafening. No one could hear the whispers of trust he had broken. No one could undo the actions, the betrayals, the moments of deception. And in that silence, he finally understood lies may hide the truth temporarily, but the truth always finds a way to emerge, leaving devastation in its wake. The story of his life became a cautionary tale, a reminder to all who heard it: do not underestimate the power of honesty. Do not allow yourself to be seduced by the ease of deception. Lies may feel safe, but they are chains that grow tighter with every falsehood. And the web, once spun, becomes impossible to escape. He had learned too late. Trapped in a web of lies, he could only watch as the consequences unfolded, knowing that the path back to truth was barred by the very threads he had chosen to weave. Every choice, every secret, every lie had led him here. Alone, haunted, and irreversibly changed.
Subscribe to Crime Loom and join us as we unravel